Hello, I'm Brabazon. I'm the Dean of Graduate Research at Flinders University, and welcome to vlog 243. Why do professional development? Oh, I'm so excited. I've really enjoyed writing this one. And of course, this vlog is paired with the last one that explored what is professional development. And both these vlogs came via request from a remarkable student who wished to be anonymous, a man of mystery, wished to be anonymous, and he had had some disagreements with his supervisor about his imperative and desire to do professional development. And so this particular student wanted to hear the arguments on both sides and asked if I would talk about professional development at its most basic, so what it is, and then some suggestions about why to do it. Now, I love this. I love the construction of an argument. My statement has always been, I don't want you all to believe anything. I'm a bit of an idiot, you don't have to believe me, but do listen to a whole series of arguments around you and make your own mind up. And so today, I'm offering you a series of arguments. Why do professional development? And what I'm going to do today is be perhaps a little bit more directive, but in a pretty groovy, calm way. Let me explain. What I'm going to present to you today are 10 arguments why you should consider professional development. Now, those 10 arguments, none of them may be of relevance to you, or one might make an incredible and incisive difference in your life. That's tremendous. A few of them might be of interest to you, something you'll think about, and a few you might park, noting that in a couple of years or 5 years or even 10 years, that reason for doing professional development will return to you. How fabulous. I'm so excited. So let's do this. And remember, I'm not telling you what to do. You can make your own mind up. My job is to present some arguments to you. So let's do this. Tara's 10 reasons why you, yes you, should consider professional development. Okay, 1. This is the biggie, to be frank with you. Professional development saves you time. Oh yeah. Now, I'm an efficient person. I have to be. I don't get up at 2 a.m. in the morning so that I can go, oh look, I'll just have a nice day and enjoy myself. I get up at 2 a.m. because I need to be efficient. And also, I hope I get up at 2 a.m. and am efficient, but I also know that I'm a bit of a dag most of the time. And there's all series, thousands, hundreds of thousands of things and ideas on planet Earth that I don't know about, and I'm terribly curious and interested in, but I've got to be honest, I don't know about them. So what I do, because I believe in efficiency, is I learn from people who are expert. I believe strongly in expertise. Now, expertise is a word that is rarely used in the 2020s so far. Let's hope it increases in its use. But I respect expertise, and therefore I respect the expertise of others enormously. And I also know that professional development saves you, saves me, saves us time. So let me give you some examples. Do an experiment with yourself. Add yourself to your library's professional development list and look at the events that your library, wherever you are in the world, your library, the events and the training sessions that your library and librarians are putting on in the next month. And you just have a look at that. And I did that for our university, and what I found were the following training sessions. How to do a literature review. How to do a scoping review. Working on your ORCID profile, and yes, how to manage a series of statistical packages. That seems pretty useful to me and very efficient. So we also have a whole series of teaching and learning centres that are available to us in universities. So if you are having challenges with reading or particular modes of writing or note-taking, there's a whole group of remarkable people with expertise who can help you efficiently. So what I always think is what an expert can teach you in 1 hour would take you days or weeks or months or indeed never to learn for yourself. And that's why I'm such a big fan, can I say, of professional development from librarians. I've had the great privilege of being taught by librarians around the world in some of the degrees that I've done, and about half of the people I follow on Twitter are librarians. And firstly, they're interesting and fabulous people, but the other reason is I'm terribly efficient, and when they post professional development information, I do that because it saves me a lot of time. And what we forget about librarians and the librarian degree that's often used around the world, uses language like library and information science. What we forget is the library degree that our great colleagues do has a whole series of sections about the presentation of materials. So in other words, presenting information literacy and information skills is part of the library degree. So those colleagues really know how to get information across because they're taught the what, they're taught the content, but they're also taught the how and the why and how to get it across to you. So if you're one of those people that the moment anybody mentions professional development, you go, no, yuck. I sort of get that. It might help you to realise that we've got a whole series of people who are experts in professional development, and if you take 1 hour out of your life, they could save you hundreds. So why not do that? 2, professional development future-proofs you. Future-proofs you. The best professional development moves your present into the future. Let me explain why that's so important to a PhD student. PhD research occupies the present. You are presenting an original contribution to knowledge with currency today. That original contribution to knowledge is today. But how is that PhD that so occupies its present, how is that PhD research going to move to the future? And the answer is, you've guessed it, professional development. What are you going to do with that research? Who's going to read it? How is it going to travel through time and through space? How are you going to configure your present research in a way that speaks to the future? And you've guessed it, the answer is, as a family, professional development. And what I'm talking about here is the type of skills we're dealing with are research communication skills, stakeholder engagement, and publishing in diverse ways. You might not even know the interfaces and the avenues that are available to you to present your research to diverse groups. You don't know what you don't know, find out through professional development. So professional development allows you to take the incredible achievement of the present, that is doing a PhD, and rendering it mobile, rendering it available to a diversity of audiences, and that's the gift. So many of these skills can be taught by communities of practice. COP, COPs. I do recommend COPs. They're very interesting, particularly in allied health, but in a lot of the professions, they use communities of practice. So if your discipline, this is a thing, then go in there, because those communities of practice will nurture you and mentor you, and I'm using those words I rarely use, but I'm using them intentionally. They'll nurture and mentor you to movement into different places and different times and different audiences. And one other example I'll offer to you, with a big shout out to all the media units that exist in universities around the world. Not media studies, the professional media units. So they're the people that talk about the great achievements of a university. Now these media units, filled with media professionals, much respect, about once a year offer their services to talk with academics and talk with PhD students to evaluate and present the best strategies for you and your research. So when those media units, they're sometimes called media and communication units from a university, make their services available for your professional development, grab those chances, And if you don't know if your media unit or organisational area presents these types of materials, then send them an email and ask if it would be available, and you'll be amazed at the response you'll receive, because they want high quality content. They want high quality content, and they will instruct you how to provide that high quality content to them, and you can learn what they do. Really, really important. 3, yeah, these are big, aren't they? 3, create a portfolio of support. Professional development is great for content. It's also great for form. And what I mean by that is professional development can introduce you to peers and to a suite of support. One of the great problems we come across when we're managing supervisory student relationships and when they break down is that they're very, very intense. So student-supervisor relationships can be highly dependent, very tight, very emotionally charged, a bit brittle. And of course, when those very tight relationships break down, yeah, it ends really, really badly, right? So a great way to manage your supervisory system while also learning new skills is through professional development. You're learning it through research about software, about communication. All these skills, often called soft skills, are incredibly useful. But there's a meta benefit I wanted to talk about today. It's great for skills, but you can also meet new people and people who can support you. So that suite or portfolio of support takes the heat out of that one-on-one supervisor-student relationship. So you're no longer looking at your supervisor as the font of all knowledge, as a god. You have a series of people in your life that share their expertise with you. That's healthy. 4, yeah, communication is everything. Now, I've already mentioned a few times in the gig today, but also I've seen that I've mentioned it a few times in the last few weeks, actually, when I've talked about research communication. Is anything more important than research communication? I don't think so. But I also know that we haven't got the professional development program in place yet to really show what research communication is and what it can do. And we haven't got that training quite right yet, and that's not your fault. But what I would advise that you do is start to break down research communication into bespoke or disparate parts. So start to think about, right, what's my research, who's my audience, who do I want to reach? And I know a lot of you have just started to move into Twitter, and that's great. So do a short professional development intervention, if you will, on Twitter. Learn about Twitter, go onto LinkedIn if you like, and learn how to use Twitter. There's also available information on how academics use Twitter. So seek out these professional development innovations. Also, there's material about how to use ResearchGate, how to use academia.edu beyond simply, here's my static profile, how to use it. And also, an example I'm using, I've done a lot of work on Pinterest, and I use Pinterest as an academic, and I'm doing professional development work at the moment on Instagram. I used it a bit, and I'm being really honest here, I used it a bit, not very well, and then Steve died, and so then I had to sort of manage those photographs. So I've archived those photographs from that point of my life just to render me more comfortable with it. And since I've done that, I've been doing hour upon hour of what is Instagram, how to use it. Now, that's great because it's good to learn stuff. That's brilliant. Whether or not I'll use it for research yet, I don't know. And how I will use it, I don't know. But it's worth doing the professional development in an interface, in a platform. Look at it, have a sense of it, learn about it. And even if you dismiss it for your research at this particular point, there might be a moment where it comes back into life. So think about the communication systems around you, think about your research, and think about how you connect your research with an audience. And the answer in how you connect your research with an audience is a communication system. And you have to think about and develop that communication system through professional development. 5, improve your writing. Now, writing is like Vegemite. Some scholars love doing it, and some scholars absolutely hate it. Some do it really easily. Some students have described writing to me like teeth extraction. Bless. And look, there's an old cliche that I've used so often in my life, that we learn to write by writing. So I know it feels terrible when you're doing it, but as you write, you learn to write by writing, and that's true. But I've learnt something else in this job as Dean. I've learnt that you can learn to write by writing in a supportive environment. So join a writing group. At Flinders University, we have the Write Bunch, which we started, basically when I started this job, every Friday morning, a group of people got together. I didn't know if one person had arrived, if anybody had arrived. And this thing has now sort of gained the status of a religious cult where the group come together and they all help each other get through. And we've had so many completions. We see students all the way through their degree and they stay post the degree. It's just phenomenal. So I'm a big believer in these writing groups, and I'm sure all your universities have them. I think they're called like Shut Up and Write. They're great. Join a writing group. But also know that there are incredible professional development opportunities one-on-one for you to receive tutoring support. So most universities, most doctoral programs have available one-on-one tutoring support for you to help you with your writing where you are now. And also other sorts of writing groups that we certainly do at Flinders, and I'm sure around the world your organisations do it as well. And that is where students get together and they talk about, if you like, the genres of writing. So what is required in a thesis introduction or conclusion or discussion chapter. And those peer groups are often facilitated or managed by an academic. So really don't sit and stare at your screen and go, oh, I can't write anything. Seek out the communities of support and small and sharp professional development interventions, and these may provide the connections or the great change in your thinking. So with writing, just remember it's one idea at a time. That's what writing is. But the weird thing about writing is, and it is incredible really, I find it in my own writing life as well, when you listen to professional development on writing, one seemingly small idea can be transformative of your entire writing life. So do that. 6. Oh yes, I forgot how important all of these are. 6. Learn about teaching and learning. Learn about teaching and learning. This is enormous. Seriously, this one is enormous. If you have the opportunity to complete a certificate, they're often called a graduate certificate, a certificate of teaching and learning, higher degree studies, whether it be higher education studies, anything involving teaching and learning and higher education. If you have an opportunity to complete a clustered certificate in that, grab it. For example, and that might be great, do that. If you have an opportunity to do a standalone session on how to deliver a lecture, how to develop and deliver a successful online seminar, how to write a rubric. Every time these opportunities present themselves, wow, grab them, please grab them. Because somebody will have to teach in our universities. I know higher education is absolutely in chaos at the moment, I understand that. But always remember, somebody has to teach. And yes, that teaching may be part-time or casual or on contract, but it will be paid. Teaching will always be required. So this is important too, not only teaching in universities, but training. Training is a big word, and training is booming in the public and the private sector. Boom industry. And that's because, think about what we're doing today, professional development is needed everywhere. So if you have the skill set to train the trainer, if you have the ability to bundle up particular skills from your research and deliver that to colleagues in the private and the public sector, that is a crucial income stream for you. Cannot state this enough. Okay, so what I need you to do is get those skills in learning how to package up teaching and learning elements and delivering them effectively. That is an income stream for the future for you. 7. Stay current and adaptable for the workforce. We live in changing times. As the legendary philosopher Ferris Bueller said, things move pretty fast. Okay. The great strength of professional development, is it can create these just-in-time, and that's a whole phrase thing, a just-in-time intervention in your professional life. So for those of you who are incredibly busy, I'm after efficiency for you, always. So you need to infuse your working life and your life outside of work with ideas delivered at speed. So that might be while you're doing the commute at work, while you're taking the kids to sport or to school, while you're waiting in a queue for something. You need to have that professional development infusion. Now, if this is you, if you need to make every 10 minutes work, every 20 minutes work, every 30 minutes work, then wow, professional development can do this for you. And this is where I'd advise you to use LinkedIn Learning or use a whole series of podcasts and podcast series in professional learning. They're great. So this means you can do your professional development in bite-sized chunks. So you've got a 30-minute commute, there's a 30-minute learning session on LinkedIn Learning, do it. So this means every day you're learning something new, and it means you're matching what's often called micro-learning to what you require in the workplace today. 8, provide professional and personal choices. Wow, yeah, look, so many workplaces are incredibly difficult at the moment, and I'm aware for a lot of you watching this vlog, the phrase I've just uttered doesn't even capture the hell you are living in at the moment. I know that. A lot of our workplaces are just terrible, okay? So what professional development does when you're in this emotionally, intellectually volatile environment is it provides you with choices. It stops you feeling like you're backed into a corner, yeah? And it starts to give you the social skills and the abilities to move forward. So look, this may be time management, always very popular, but also asking difficult questions, receiving feedback, managing conflict. I've worked in some shocking places, you know that, and in some ways a kind voice offering a commentary about how to manage conflict, how to manage a toxic work environment. These 1-hour interventions in my life probably did save my life on the way through, so I never underestimate them. So try to put into language, if you can, what your social or your personal issue is. So what is challenging to you personally in your workplace? And speak those words, write it down, and then try and find, particularly again on LinkedIn Learning, but there's hundreds of thousands of vlogs on YouTube about this. Try and put it into language and then do a search and find a great person to provide the kind but also incisive commentary that you need at this point of your life when your working life is a bit of a mess. Okay? And I'll give you one example of this. So obviously earlier this year we had COVID, and my staff worked at home. I worked at work, so I actually never worked from home. I worked from the university all the way through for our students. But my staff were working remotely, and this was the first time, so I've been in management jobs for about 15 years now, and this was the first time where I'd had that scenario. And it happened quickly, as most of you remember. So I quickly went on to LinkedIn Learning and I went remote learning. Okay, how do we do that? Working from home. And so I did 3 very quick sessions. I think there were 3 1-hour sessions on remote learning, challenges of remote working, and also thinking about how working from home operates for the people at home. And that quick infusion of ideas changed me, made me able to help my staff and put structures in place so that it was okay for them, okay for me, and also productive for you, our students. Yeah. 9, create career choices. You have incredibly diverse employment choices, both inside and outside of your doctorate. But formal professional development that manifests into degrees provides an interdisciplinary pathway to your future. I know the last thing you would feel like in the middle of a PhD is, what, I've got to do another qualification in something, never again, this is the end. I do understand that. But let me also just, perhaps now, and this may be of value to you in 5 or 10 years' time, let me just tell you a truth. I've held in my career so far 5 different professorial titles, not lecturer titles, these are as professor. 5 different titles, professorial titles in my career. Now why that matters is I've not been one thing. As universities have changed, as career options have moved around and about, I've been able to adapt and gain work in these new areas. So I've been able to move between disciplines and gain work in those disciplines. So one of the gifts of professional development when it's delivered via a degree is that it adds enormously to your credibility. It adds enormously to your believability and increases your employment choices. Full stop. 10. Yay! Offering diverse lenses to enable inclusion and diversity. I want to finish with this one because for me, really, this is the heart reason. This is the reason why we do professional development. We live in times of me, 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 me. Have I told you about me, 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 me? Closed thinking. Everything is about me and my identity. And what that closed thinking does, sadly, is it closes off other people, other people's lives, experience, expertise. And when we close off those people, we close ourselves off from their expertise and how it can add to our life, add value to our life. The major gift of professional development for me is it offers an alternative view. And this alternative view asks you that you reframe your experience and you realise that, you know what, we don't know everything. Truth does not only exist in this particular model. All sorts of experiences and expertise can enhance what we do. It also gives us that dexterity to be able to consider the perspective and expertise of others. So this role for professional development is a way to value inclusion and value diversity. It just means we start to listen and learn rather than talk and bluster about how terribly fabulous we all are, because we're not. We're not. As I always say, honour the me, but work on the we. Honour the me, but work on the we. And the way we work on the we build a diverse and strong and powerful workplace and university, is through professional development. We listen to others. We learn from others. So always remember, professional development provides that bridge from me to we. I wish you love, light and peace. Tea out.